Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. This is a pod where nothing is as it seems. Usually we're talking about wrestling, but other times we dive into the world of movies and TV shows, and we do it while we come to you from under the apron. As some of you already know, I posted it all over the socials on Good Pods. I'm ranked number 12 in the top 100 wrestling all time chart and ranked number 26 in the top 100 sports all time chart. I mean, it's happened before, but I'm up there alongside some heavy hitter podcasters like Stone Cold Steve Austin's, Jim Ross, Talk Jericho, Jim Cornette, 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, and even Cultaholic. I love Cultaholic. But I'm also up there with some heavy hitter indie podcasters like Wrestling World, Wrestling with the Truth, and Super Media Bros Podcast, to name a few. All in all, I am freaking honored and privileged to be a part of an awesome podcast community. So if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or anywhere else you can get your podcast, you listen to your podcast on, go give it a listen on Good Pod. Have, binge us if you like. Um, I'll have the ad for Good Pods right after this. And you can just check me out. I'll have it in the show notes too. Once again, I would like to say thank you all to the wrestling fans, or podcast fans. I hope you enjoy listening, even if it's TV shows like Heels or Glow, and more movies are coming soon.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the number one way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
The Halloween episodes are far between us, but people are still answering those questions, so I want to include them as well on this episode. Culture Migrants, our very dear Hungarian friend, writes in his favorite monster movie, Cloverfield, no question. Uh, Favorite soundtrack, he says, heck, if I remember music for a movie, the movie was probably crap. That's true. Like, hey, the movie was sucked, but the fucking soundtrack was banging. I've well, there's been a few times where I've said that the music was awesome, but at the same time, the movie was good. And yeah, but maybe because I went back and watched it again and thought, oh shit, I should download this music. That's what I that's what I took out of it. Favorite horror 80s. I'm sorry, favorite 80s horror. He says since The Shining was already there, let it be The Exorcist. Goddamn Exorcist. Um, Best use of gore in a horror movie. He says, now I'm going to disappoint you. I really miss blood-soaked horror movies. So do I. So do I. Like, so do I. Favorite horror character? Definitely Cillian Murphy's Jim from 28 Days Later. He said this before. He likes 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later. So definitely his one of his favorite characters is that one. Best horror franchise. He says both parts of Quarantine were very popular. Quarantine from 2008 was directed by John Eric Dwaddle, starring Jennifer Carpenter. We all know her as Dexter's sister. The one that talks a lot of shit. um, on the show Dexter. A television reporter and her cameraman are assigned to spend the night shift with the Los Angeles fire crew. After a routine 911 call takes them to a small apartment building, they find police officers already on the scene in response to blood-curdling screams coming from one of the apartments. They soon learn that a woman living in the building has been infected by something unknown. After a few of the residents are viciously attacked, They try to leave with the news crew, only to find the building has quarantined. All communication and it is stopped. The only evidence of what took place is the news crew's videotape. Quarantine 2, directed by John Pogue in Los Angeles. The police put a residential building in quarantine. Meanwhile, the flight attendants of Trans-Sky Air, Jenny and Paula, are welcoming the passengers of flight TSR 318 from Los Angeles to Kansas City with Captain Forrest and co-pilot Wilsey. Teacher Henry brings a cage of hamsters to the cabin, but Jenny tells him that it should be transported in the cargo hold. However, one hamster bites the fingertip of the fat passenger, Ralph. Really? Soon Ralph vomits and becomes aggressive, attacking Paula, all because of a hamster? The fuck? The male passengers help Jenny and lock Ralph in the bathroom, while Captain Forrest requests an emergency landing. When they land in the airport, they find all the gates closed, and the captain heads the plane to an abandoned terminal. Employee Ed helps the crew and passengers to reach the exit, but they find that they are closed. Soon they discover that the place is in quarantine and there is no way out. All this because of a fucking hamster. I mean, it. I mean, COVID happened because somebody bit a fucking bat. You know. Um. Basically, basically, we were in a fucking pandemic because somebody bit a fucking bat. Quarantine 2 revolves around a hamster biting a passenger. It's not too far off, really. Sure, why not? Um, best death scene, he says, paranormal activity. It shocked me. Which part though? I was like, I didn't even watch it. It was too found filmsy for me. So I was just like, nope, I'm out. Favorite quote: "You're all gonna die down here." That my British, but I tried. The computer hologram says in the first part of Resident Evil. Favorite holiday horror movie? He says, I'm not particularly fond of holiday horror movies, but maybe The Invitation should be. The Invitation, directed by Jessica M. Thompson after the death of her mother and having no one known relatives. Evie, played by Nathaniel Emmanuel, takes the DNA. My God, I can't even say that word. Takes the DNA test and discovers a long lost cousin she never knew she had. Invited by her newfound family to lavish wedding in the countryside, English countryside. She's at first seduced by the sexy aristocrat host, but is soon thrust into a nightmare of survival as she uncovers twisted secrets in her family's history and the unsettling intentions behind their sinful generosity. And finally, we got La Clementina, who is back with her last two picks on the blog side. Worst horror movie? She says, well, there are a lot of objectively bad horror films out there. It's hard to pick the worst one because it is truly a prolific genre. I would say one I hate in particular is A Quiet Place. It's just so vapid. People act like it's a special movie, but there's no point to any of it. And characters are so stupid, it's so infuriating. Like they could build an entire community in the middle of a field, but they can't keep their deaf kid away from a noisy toy? You deserve to die. Also, how the fuck are you gonna have a fucking baby? Better to risk an abortion than try and do that. Did they not know that babies literally scream? Like all the time. Stupid. To be honest, I don't even consider this movie to be a horror because it isn't scary to me at all. I felt nothing for any of the characters and didn't care at all what happened to them. I also hate the newest Evil Dead movie. It was so slow and boring and anticlimactic, and I hate that so many people loved it. It did not even come close to touching the mood, pacing, or atmosphere Sam Raimi achieved, and not even close to as good as the 2013 remake, which I actually thought was pretty good. Get it, La Clementina. Get it. Freaking damn it. She is just expressing her views. I love that shit. She hates A Quiet Place and Evil Dead, and there you have it. Favorite all-time horror movie? Again, You really can't say that one particular is the best horror film ever made. There are so many. So that some that have stood the test of time. Nosferatu, Freaks, Alien, Silence of the Lambs, Candyman, John Carpenter's The Thing, Carrie, Suspiria, Videodrome. I could go on and on. But she doesn't. And that's it right there. I think we're done with the whole horror questionnaire thing. So, like, I want to include these last few bits into this episode. So there you have it. That's it for now. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter. After a grueling 118 days on strike, SAG-AFTRA has officially reached a tentative agreement on a new 3-year contract with studios, a move that is heralding the end of the 2023 actor strike. The SAG-AFTRA TV Theatrical Committee approved the agreement in a unanimous vote on Wednesday. SAG-AFTRA announced the strike will end at 12:01 a.m. Thursday. Now, on Friday, the deal will go to the union's national board on Friday for approval. The Performers Union announced the provisional agreement on Wednesday after about 2 weeks of renewed negotiations. Development on Wednesday came not long before a deadline of 5 p.m. that the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers had set for the union to give their answer on whether they had a deal. I said now because it's already 12:07 a.m. and I'm still recording, so it's going to be a long um, Thursday morning. So why not? The union is so far being mum on the details of the agreement, which will likely emerge in the next few days prior to the union's ratification vote. If the deal is ratified, the contract could soon go into effect, and if not, members would essentially send their labor negotiators back to the bargaining table with the AMPTP. When negotiations started on October 2 for the first time since SAG-AFTRA called its work stoppage in July, hopes are high in the industry that Hollywood's largest union could come to terms with major companies quickly, just like they had in the final days of the Verizon negotiation. Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos, Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav, Disney CEO Bob Iger, and NBC Universal Studio Group Chairman and Chief Content Officer Donna Langley attended the talks at the union's national headquarters in Los Angeles. But the studio ended up walking out on October 11th over SAG-AFTRA's proposal to charge a fee for every streaming subscriber on major platforms in a move that the union's chief negotiator called mystifying. Sarandos called the ask a bridge too far. The sides reconvened on October 24 after a nearly 2 week break. This time, the studios came in with a more generous offer to increase actors' wage floors and a slightly modified version of a success-based streaming bonus they had previously offered the WGA. The two sides had changed proposals for much of the week in a tense situation that had the industry on edge. Even as the deal came to sight, progress was slow, especially when it came to putting the contract's inaugural guardrails on AI. The union considers the rapidly advancing technology an absolute existential issue for members and sought to close any potential loopholes that could lead to future issues. On Saturday, the studios presented what the union characterized as the company's last, best, and final overarching offer. Still, the two sides kept swapping offers after. When the union's previous contract expired in mid-July and SAG-AFTRA went out on strike, many outstanding issues were left on the table. Setting terms for the use of AI was a major sticking point between union and studio negotiators, as was a proposal to provide cast with additional streaming compensation. Union negotiators sought to institute an unusually large minimum rate increase in the first year of the contract, a host of ground rules for self-tape virtual auditions, and major increases to health and pension contributions, caps that had not been changed since the 1980s. Meanwhile, as the entertainment business continues to experience a period of contraction, major companies look to preserve some measure of flexibility and cost control. SAG-AFTRA strike coming as it did amid an ongoing writer's strike in July gave the union an unusual amount of leverage early on in its talk with the AMPTP. Almost immediately, most remaining unionized U.S. productions that were operating without writers shut down, including Deadpool 3 and Venom 3. And as the months of the work stoppage stretched on, a strategist at the Milk Institute has estimated that the strike has cost the California economy alone at least $6 billion. But pressure pull build as the strike neared and surpassed its 100-day mark. A-lister actors began talking to both the union and studios in an attempt to improve progress in the negotiations. A number of actors also started drafting a letter expressing concerns about the union's leadership, but held back from publishing, fearful of the missive's potential impact in negotiations. Then, on October 26th, a separate letter was released, signed by apparently thousands of actors exhorting negotiators. We have not come all this way to cave now. The amount of time that the union spent on strike in 2023 will certainly raise expectations for the deal they reached with studios. In the union's upcoming ratification vote, the date of which has not yet been announced, members will decide whether the pact is acceptable to them.
Movies and feelings. Pop, pop. Bring Your Own Popcorn is a podcast that dives into people and the movies who love them. Let us preach to your choir or stoke your ire as we spiral down memory lane with cult classics, Jurassics, and other genres that rhyme with traffic. What we lack in education, we make up for with comedy, compassion, and camaraderie. I'm your host, Mixtape Majesty, inviting you to join me and an assortment of wonderful guests on fine podcast apps everywhere. Bring your own popcorn.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Dawn.
And if you've ever watched a TV show and thought to yourself, oh my god, that season finale plot twist was absolutely bonkers.
Or seen a movie and thought, wow, I need to talk to somebody about this train wreck immediately.
Then we think you'll fit right in with our podcast, I Hate It, Let's Watch It. We watch TV shows like Riverdale and Emily in Paris.
And movies like Deep Water, Killer Sofa, Rubber, and Deadly Illusions. And we give them the total rinsing they deserve.
It's basically group therapy for movie masochists. So come check us out wherever you stream podcasts.
Welcome back to the Glow on Netflix series rewatch. Last week I did episode 1, so we're going to continue that and rewatch episode 2. Glow season 1 episode 2 to be exact. The title of the episode was Slouch. Submit. Written by Liz Flaheeb and Carly Mensch. Directed by Wendy Stansler, who's also done 3 episodes of Glee, 4 episodes of Park and Rec, 5 episodes of 90210 Reboot and Pretty Little Liars, 8 episodes of Arrow, and 13 episodes of You're the Worst. Synopsis of the show. Cherry tries to whip the final group into shape, while Sam sets out in pursuit of a star for his show. Ruth acts out an uncomfortable scene. The opening song is The Look by Roxette, which was released in 1988 for a 1985 song. Here we go. Scene opens up in Ruth walking into the gym where they're supposed to be training. She's nearly run over as one of the other auditionees for Glow pulls up in the parking lot. The auditionee, Melanie Rosen or Melrose, gets out, rifles through her purse, and curses herself as she forgot her shoes. She says that she knew there was a reason why she was supposed to go home, and Ruth tells her that she thinks she has an extra pair in the trunk. She says she's a size 7. She pulls them out and offers them to Melrose, saying they're from her waitressing days. Melrose asks if she waitressed at a nursing home in Poland. Ruth ends up wearing the spare shoes, giving the ones that she was wearing to Melrose. Inside, she looks over to other women who are in the ring. Ruth says the ring is very bouncy, while Artie responds back that it's also made out of wood and steel. Melrose gets on the middle rope and does an impression of Sylvester Stallone doing the Rocky voice, calling out for Adrian. Rocky 1 came out in 1976, Rocky 2 came out in 1979, and Rocky 3 came out in 1982. By 1985, Rocky 4 was already out in theaters, so she might have been quoting this one, any type of Adrian, or she could have been quoted at least, if he dies, he dies. Sam Sylvia enters Sam Sylvia enters the ring as the girls are playing around. He says that he came back and for everyone not to applaud at once. Sarcastically, of course. He says that it's a slight of day and he wants to know who he hired, who they are. He enters the ring and asks that when he points at each of them, they're to tell him their name and if they have any special skills, hidden talents, or favorite sex positions. He asks if anyone wants to go first, and Melrose clears her throat. He calls her Underwear as Outerwear Girl. She introduces herself and her nickname. She says that her special skill is that she's not boring, that she can wake up in the morning with absolutely nothing to do and be in a Van Halen video by the end of the day. Cherry looks on, not impressed and annoyed. She adds, any position with my legs over my head. Sam says he digs it. He likes the whole please objectify me vibe. Tremendous. He turns next to Sheila, who he calls the Wolf Lady, asking for her story. She says that she has a very acute sense of smell. He doesn't believe her, so he asks her what cologne he's wearing, and she replies, Dracar Noir. He says that it's a trick question that he's not wearing cologne, but he does spray it on his clothes if he forgets to do laundry. He tells her she did a good job and asks where his actress is, Strindberg. Ruth raises her hand and he asks if he knows any good party tricks. She tells him that she can do Audrey Hepburn, winning an Oscar for Roman Holiday.
I'm truly, truly grateful and terribly happy.
Very winsome.
He asks where her friend is, the smoking hot blonde who kicked your ass the other day, referring to Devi. Ruth says that she's probably at home with her baby. He asks why she's not here, and Ruth tells him that she's not supposed to be, that she wasn't auditioning. Tammy Dawson agrees that she just came to stomp the homewrecker. The others nod. Ruth says that she sees what happened, that they thought that was real. She says that they planned it. Jenny says that it makes total sense, given that Debbie was on soap. Laura Morgan on Paradise Cove, until she had to have reconstructive surgery after a year-long coma. Also known as getting written off the show. Comments Ruth. Sam asks for her name, and Jenny gives it as Debbie Egan, saying that she was also in an episode of Murder, She Wrote. Cherry asks if they're all done, saying that some of them like to work. She asks if they're starting, and Sam agrees that they are. He asks them to stretch while he goes to have a pee. Jenny is played by Ellen Wong. She is known for her roles as Jill Mouse Chen in the CW series The Carrie Diaries. Has appeared on the show Castle and played Knives Chow in the film Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and the upcoming animated Netflix series Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. There was never a show in the 80s called Paradise Cove, although Glow was set in LA near Hollywood, so it does make total sense that they would write a part in the show that some of the wrestlers had side jobs as actresses. Looking back at the older generation of wrestlers, some of them did get bits and parts on TV shows such as Married with Children, Jag, Days of Our Lives, Saved by the Bell, to name a few, and others went on to have bits in movies like Spaceballs and My Best Friend's Wedding. Next scene, Sam did have to go pee as well as to smoke. He then rifles through some lockers and Cherry finds him there, asking if he's still doing blow. He tells her that he's just checking driver's licenses because women lie about their ages all the time. She asks him what happened to that coach, and he says that he fired him. Cherry is shocked that he would fire the only guy they have with any wrestling experience. He says that he doesn't want to make a dumb wrestling show and just takes things out of the playbook. She asks if he's trying to mess up too, and he shoots back that he gave her a job and he doesn't see a lot of other directors giving her on-camera work. She says that she won't get into a pissing contest with him, seeing as they both haven't worked in a while. They should just get back out there and deal with the amateurs he hired. He says they should do that and touches her on the hip. Melrose walks in asking if they're about to bone. Cherry replies that she's married. Sam says that they did it once though in 1978. Him, her, and her husband. Ooh, a throuple. They did the deed. They did a threesome. Cherry tells Melrose that she should go pee if she needs to. She tells him not to bring stuff up like that up, and he says that history is a beautiful thing. He says that he hasn't talked to her since her miscarriage. She said that it was 2 years ago, and she's fine, asking him to keep her business to himself. He rifles through a bag, finding a number of playbooks and a planner labeled with Ruth's name. He rips out a page saying that he has his methods and to trust him. Melrose walks out of the bathroom stall, quipping, "Who doesn't trust a man with a mustache full of coke?" Sam returns to the ring, saying he has to leave and that Cherry is going to be training them for the day. "Excuse me?" asks Cherry. He tells her to come on, that she's a bona fide badass on the outside, but a marshmallow on the inside. He asks why she looks so surprised, saying he wants to see some slammajamas and some whammos when he gets back. Anything that makes it look like they might pull this one off. He said if she needs help, she can ask the big one. Everyone looks at Tammy, who yells that she don't know nothing about wrestling. Sam says the one from the wrestling family, Carmen. Tammy, played by Kia Stevens, the only cast member in the series that is actually a pro wrestler, and has worked all over the world, accomplishing and winning more than 20 championship belts, including tournaments, and was ranked number one in 2008 in the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Top 50 Females as Woman of the Year. Shout out to Kia Stevens, or as we all know her as Awesome Kong. Ruth asks where he's going, that he can't just leave, getting the rest of the women to ask questions, but Cherry takes charge, asking Carmen to help her out. They demonstrate a lockup, which Carmen describes as being kind of like dancing when you first start out. Cherry tries out a headlock and orders the rest of the girls to pair up and give it a shot, and they start partnering off.
There are still a lot of things in this world that we all need to learn. Oftentimes, these things may seem trivial, but lessons nonetheless. It's been many years, and now it's time that I told you how it all began. It started with a virus, and no, not the one you're thinking of. This virus came so quick, there was no way we could have prepared for it. Everyone was still focused on COVID-19 when it struck. Some believed it was a variant, but they were wrong. Before we knew it, the world was thrown into chaos. Riots broke out in almost every major city. Looters began taking whatever they could, even each other's lives. People lost loved ones, they lost homes, and some lost themselves. After about 2 weeks, civilization had crumbled into a land of lawlessness. Everything seemed lost, until I found you. That's when we gained the one thing we all desperately needed. Hope. On April 15th, 2022, my heart began to beat with a purpose once again. This is the story of raising hope.
With you.
Next scene, Debbie sits at home watching a television show and breastfeeding her baby, Randy. She cries out after a particular painful bite and asks him why he's smiling. She calls him a biter and gets some ice from the freezer. This kid already has teeth? Or is this just like the gums hurt? Do the gums hurt? Baby gums hurt when they bite your nipple? Is that a saying, ladies, moms? Is that what I'm hearing? Is this what it's all about in the 80s, I guess? The doorbell rings. It's Sam. He introduces himself, mentioning the skit she had done at the gym. She says that it wasn't a skit and that she doesn't have time for whatever he wants. He asks what he's holding. It's a pound puppy for Randy, or so he says. She points out that it's actually a rabbit. He asks if he can come in. Back at the gym, the girls continue practicing the moves. Melrose is on top of the turnbuckle singing, "Hold me now." I don't know the words. By the Thompson twins, trying to get all the women to slow dance and sing along. Hold me. I don't know the fucking words. I'm sorry. Uh, Too bad I can't give you the actual song, but I can give you the audio of them actually singing it. So here it is.
Hold me now, oh, on my heart. Stay with me, let loving start, let loving start. Oh, hold me now.
Some of us are trying to work.
They're slow dancing. He just fully did a spin.
Cherry stops Melrose from singing and has her pair off with Ruth. They do the lockup. Ruth slowly turns to get up, put in a headlock, but Melrose decides to play games and starts humping her from behind. We've all done that, where we hump people from behind after a lockup. It's a pretty good thing to do. No, it's not. Cherry tells Melrose to do the move, but Melrose says that those are her moves that got her cast in a porn dance party in the movie Body Double. Ruth questions if she ever worked with De Palma, and Melrose says she did. She then pulls a surprise move on Ruth, which does not go over well with Cherry. Melrose says that the whole point is to win, and Cherry tells her that the point is to do it safely, that she could have seriously hurt her. Ruth shrugs it off, saying that it's all part of the process. Cherry tells Melrose that she doesn't have time to deal with spoiled bitches who don't take things seriously. Melrose scoffs that she doesn't even know her. Cherry says she thinks she does, but she never had a real job. Her daddy pays all of her bills, but she doesn't let anyone know unless she gets really drunk. She drives a limo because she wants people to think she's interesting. Tell me I'm wrong, she says, and walks away. To this, Melrose replies that she got her job because she had sex with the director. Everybody is in shock. Cherry turns back, telling her she got the job because she's a pro and she knows how to make the moves look real. Melrose finds it amusing that anyone could think it looks real. It's fake. Ooh. She says the F word. She said fake. Wrestling's not fake! That's a big no-no. Especially with Carmen around there. Why didn't she say anything? Cherry tells her to come at her and make it look as real as she wants. Everyone steps out of the ring. They square off. Melrose raises her arms to do a crane kick, mocking Daniel LaRusso and the Karate Kid. Which was an illegal move, by the way. Illegal. Very illegal. Somebody should have got him a body bag. She comes at Cherry, who quickly puts her in the headlock. She passes out and then says, "That's lunch. You guys can go and have lunch." And everybody leaves. So there was a rumor that the trainer for the original Glow show, Mando Guerrero, brother of Eddie Guerrero, put a girl in the headlock and passed out because she called wrestling fake. You don't fucking do that. Never call wrestling fake unless you want people to get upset at you and throw you around. And you don't want people to be upset at you. Try calling that fake to Andre the Giant. Try telling that to other wrestlers. So I did a little searching, digging to see if what Mando Guerrero really did was true. And I found this little thing at WrestlingInc.com by Sean Newman in April of 2023. I'll have the link to the article in the show notes. April Hom, of the original cast members of the 80s television series Glow, recently recalled the cast time training with Mando Guerrero and the stern warning he gave him to work safely. During a recent interview with the Wrestling Then and Now show. Ham, who played the Royal Hawaiian character on the series, opened up about the hard training that Guerrero initially put the show's original 12 members through. The training sessions were later reimagined on this scene. Guerrero's nephew, Chavo Guerrero Jr., also worked as a real life trainer for the actors on the Netflix series. It's the Guerrero family, man. The Guerrero family. Oh, they're stunts people. One of the things that Mando stressed was the safety and being able to train and teach us what to do so no one got hurt, Ham said. She recalled one instance where Mando got frustrated when the cast members weren't paying attention. He grabs the closest girl next to him, puts her in a headlock, puts her to sleeper hold, knocks her out, and she passes to the floor. The incident was supposed to serve as a wake-up call for the cast members who were new to pro wrestling. She said that Guerrero wanted the wrestlers to focus as he didn't want any of them to get hurt. So he said, okay, you see that? That's what's going to happen if I don't get your guys' attention and you don't pay attention, because if you don't and you don't see what I just reviewed, someone's going to get hurt, and if you don't do something wrong, and it's true, I mean, like anything else, you're learning, if you miss a step, that's where you're going to run into other problems. Y'all got that? Yeah? Alright, good. Back at Debbie's, Sam says she has a nice place. Debbie asks if he wants to buy it once she and her husband get divorced. So, you're gonna leave him, he asks, and she asks if he wants to have sex with him too, he can. She says she has no idea what she's gonna do. He tells her that his own wife cheated on him with his Steadicam operator. He walked out, quitting the marriage, his movie, and even left his dog behind. He got on a plane for Vegas, and 2 weeks later he woke up feeling a lot better about himself. She calls it great advice that she can just leave her baby on a stranger's doorstep and get blackout drunk. Lovely. She asks why he's there. Is she broke something on his set? He says that he's been ranking the gutter, and she came out of nowhere like a Greek goddess, and he saw it like a vision before a seizure. Like a vision before a seizure. He wants her in the middle of the ring. He says that he wants her to be his lead. He's got two girls who can do the splits, cut hair, but he doesn't have a star. And she isn't acting anymore. He calls bull, saying that she's pretty, has big breasts, and the soap writers just didn't count on her having brains. She asked too many questions, maybe improvised a few too many lines, and then boom, fired. She admits that she was punished. Tells her that he doesn't want to punish her. He wants that cave woman anger. He wants her crazy faces of vanity. He calls her Grace Kelly on steroids and wants to put her on television every single week. She says he's just saying it to get her to join the circus. He admits this is true, but says he needs her anyway. She asks if there's a script, then wonders why she's asking that. He tells her to just come down for an hour, and if she doesn't like what she sees, he'll drive her home. She asks, what about Ruth? He tells her not to worry about her, that he cut her on the first day of callbacks. Next scene, Ruth and Melrose order food from a burger joint. Stacy and Carmen sitting at a table. Melrose sits and smokes a joint. Ruth looks for some more money in her purse, but Melrose gives her a $50 bill. Ruth pays for the food and sits with the rest of the women. Ruth, Melrose, that she doesn't think that she's allowed to smoke there. Ruth tells Melrose that she doesn't think that she's allowed to smoke there. Melrose says that she needs to chill out because some crazy stunt cut just tried to murder her. Crazy stunt cunt. Alright. Carmen tells her it was a sleeper hold, and Melrose replies that it was a lawsuit. She asks who Cherry thinks she is. That before that morning she was just another schmucky actress in a Kmart leotard, and now she's knocking people unconscious. Who died and made her the Black Nurse Ratchet? Alright, so I had to look up what she meant here, because for a second I thought they were hinting at racism, but it wasn't. It was more towards a nod to Nurse Ratchet from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Chief Bromden, who played the character in the movie, describes Ratchet as being like a machine, and her behavior fit the description. Even her name is reminiscent of a mechanical tool, sounding like both Ratchet and Wretch. She entered the novel and the ward with a gust of cold. Ratchet has complete control over every aspect of the ward, as well as almost complete control over her own emotions. So Cherry has complete control of everyone here. She, Glow's version of Chief Bromden's Ratchet, Nurse Ratchet. Carmen points out the director put her in charge, and Melrose replies that she could have died. Stacy quips that perhaps she did. That they all did, and this is the afterlife. Ruth asks if she's already high, but she says that nobody had passed it to her and she'd been waiting politely. Oh, my British little Stacy. Melrose gives her the joint. Stacy says thank you. Ruth says that she thinks Cherry is doing the best she can. Melrose asks if she's big into dictators. Ruth tells her that she doesn't know how things work in the music video world, but Cherry's trying to make them into an ensemble. Usually in their industry, it's every man for themselves, and it's almost always a man. She likes the idea of a woman in charge, that it's as good as it gets. Melrose tells her that if she's so into the sisterhood, she shouldn't have had sex with her friend's husband. Ruth tells her that she didn't, but Melrose doesn't believe her. Their order arrives. Melrose tells Ruth she owes her $20. Melrose grabs the food and sneaks a bottle of ketchup into her purse. She turns around and tells the other woman it's time to go back to the Isle of Lesbos. So yeah, she gets it. She fucked up at the same time. She wants a woman in charge. She wants a woman, like, basically she would have fit here, now. You know, woman in charge of the White House, or vice president, or Hillary Clinton. Um, but the fact that she slept with her best friend's husband, even as he came into her apartment, snuck right in, and she kept saying no, but they did it anyway. Like, alright, I guess, one more time. So, like, yeah, get it.
Hey, welcome to the Sweet Life Pod, the show where we create special moments with special people. I'm your host, Sakari Masters. In the Sweet Life Pod, we'll be discussing individuality, peace of mind, and how to attain and uphold meaningful relationships. If this sounds fitting, then follow the Sweet Life Pod on Spotify now. Thank you.
In a world where the spooky and supernatural collide, two friends go on an epic journey to the other side. Hi, I'm Rain.
Hi, I'm Luna, and we're the hosts of
Spooky Natural, a podcast where we try to make a skeptic into a believer.
Check us out to hear spooky tales of ghosts,
Alien encounters,
cryptids,
and all other unexplained mysteries.
Follow us on Twitter,
Instagram,
and join our Facebook group.
And listen wherever you get your podcasts. Spook you later.
Next scene, they return to the gym where the moves are going well. Cherry tells them they're doing great and to move on to back bumps. She pairs off with Carmen, and then Melrose decides to give it a go next. She tries and fails at the move 3 times and shouts about being injured. She appears to be bleeding and Artie moves in, saying that she can help, that she's pre-med. Melrose, however, pulls out a bottle of ketchup from the restaurant, squirting it on the floor. She makes a crack about Cherry's miscarriage. Cherry tells her to get out and says she would be delighted. The other girls look on in shock as her and Sam and Debbie enter. He introduces Debbie as the new star of Glow, calling her Debbie Morgan. Cherry asks where she's been, and he tells her he's been working his ass off finding Debbie. He asks if he's insane and she's on candid camera. Right, Ruth is still there. Candid camera was the 80s version of Ashton Kutcher's Punked, or whatever it is they're showing nowadays. Probably ridiculousness. But it ran different variations of the show starting in 1984 until 2014. I'm sorry, 1948 until 2014. 14. Other variations of the show are America's Funniest Videos or America's Funniest Home Videos. Debbie demands that he take her home right away. He tells her to give him a second, and Cherry says that they have some stuff related to her miscarriage to show him. He asks her what she's talking about, and she says that now she has his attention. He asks her to give him a minute and tells Debbie it's going to be alright. Sheila warns Debbie to not stand up straight, that she has to be submissive. She tells her to slouch toward the ground. Now slouch, submit. She might kill you. And there it is. That's the title of the episode. Slouch, dot, submit. Sheila's asking Ruth to take her muscle to the ground as if she was a dog. The whole slouch and submit part is Sheila's take on the alpha and omega submission. This girl actually thinks she's a wolf. Alright, it's also important to note that the original Teen Wolf movie with Michael J. Fox came out exactly this year. Other werewolf movies that came out around the same year, The Howling 1 and 2, Silver Bullet, and American Werewolf in London. Sheila's the resident expert on wolves, basically. So, slouch, submit. You have all kinds of references for her to do. Sam promises Debbie that they're going to sort it all out. He asks everyone can just be nice. He tells Debbie that he knows he lied, but it's not about the lie. It's about where it takes you. She says she'll give him 15 minutes, but only because it's rush hour. Sam heads into the ring, muttering that it'll still be rush hour in 15 minutes. He asks Cherry what the deal is with the whole miscarriage thing that Sam was talking about. Cherry turns to Melrose, suggesting that she show him. Melrose, outside the ring, comments that it was just a one-time thing. Cherry says that she likes attention so much that she should just show him. So Melrose gets in the ring and explains just what she did. Sam says it was terrible, that he didn't buy a single second of it. He says to not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Then realizing that what he just said, it says that maybe it's a wrong metaphor. He says that he knows she was just being an asshole, but that there's something there. There would be context, circumstances, and character that this was a real scene. He says to get inside it. Was the miscarriage an accident? Or maybe bad sushi? Justine suggests that maybe she was kicked in her stomach by her Guatemalan swim coach who was jealous that she lost her virginity to the captain of the diving team. Wow. Sam says that's good, that he likes that, though they could lose the swim coach idea and have a better assailant, asking what animal would kick a pregnant woman in the belly. What kind of homewrecker would do that? He asked for Ruth, who was trying to hide behind Tammy, saying it doesn't seem like too much of a stretch for her. Damn, they're going all in on her. He tells her to join them in the ring. She says she's not feeling well, and Sam tells her that Gene Kelly had the flu when he did the title number in Singing in the Rain. Ruth admits this is true and gets up. Sam says to look at this asshole who doesn't even care about anyone else and is going to destroy lives, even tiny ones that haven't even started yet. She's a horrible person who doesn't deserve to live. She's a horrible person who doesn't deserve to live. She says that she does, and he tells her just take some direction for a minute. He's trying to see if the skill works. He tells them to circle to each other. They came for her. They said, oh, you're the asshole who did this, so we're gonna fucking verbally kick your ass. He joins them in the ring. He calls Melrose the shit stirrer, and that they're going to work on her side, that you can't rely on a blood rig to sell a performance. He asks who she was before she lost everything. She starts to answer, and he interrupts, saying that she was smart, ambitious, talented, but nobody saw it. They only see the blonde knockout. She points out that she's not blonde, and he tells her to shut up. Stacey says that they're talking about her, and Don tells her they're actually talking about Debbie. That makes sense, Stacey agrees. Debbie has a slight smile on her face. Sam continues to lay out the scene, saying she's a fertile harvest goddess and to strut like she owns the ring. She tries, but he calls it, "You're sauntering. That's a saunter." He says everything is ideal until the homewrecker arrives. One who has no man, love, or friends. Her hair is brown, the color of shit. He tells her to lunch and miss that it's time to act now. Now it's time to kick Melroy's, ruining 3 lives in the process. Ruth asks if she can do the lockup instead and give her a hug. He tells her no. It's time for the kick. She does so. Melrose flails back, screaming. He tells her to give words to the pain. He gets the ketchup bottle and sprays it, saying to add a little fun back in. That, he says, is a miscarriage. Cherry and both look annoyed, but Devi smirks and looks interested. Ruth cleans up the bathroom. Cherry joins her husband Keith in the car. Keith is played by Bashir Salahuddin, who is an actor, writer, and comedian. He's written for shows like The Last OG, Maya Rudolph Show, and 464 episodes of Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. He was also a consulting producer on The Last OG and executive producer on both Southside and Sherman Showcase TV shows. Keith asks how his star is, if she has her own dressing room yet. He sees she's upset and asks her what happened. She says that it just got a little intense, but she's fine. Sam knocks on her window of the car. She opens it reluctantly and asks Keith how he's doing. Keith says he looks like shit and he admits he's not aging well. He just called him an old hag. Cherry asks what he wants. He says he knows it was tough, but he's a director and he's going to do what he needs to get what he wants. He tells her that if she keeps doing what she did that day, he'll double her salary as an actor and train her. She says she'll think about it and she'll see him tomorrow. Keith asks her if that was a yes, saying that they need to redo the bathroom. They drive off. Ruth meets Sam and Devi outside, asking if Devi is joining the team. Devi says that it's hard to pass up a starring role. They're going to pick up Randy from her parents' house, and then she needs to chow fun from the Two Panda Deli. Ruth asks if she's fired. Sam tells her no. Are you an idiot? She's chum, blood in the water. Devi's the hero and she's the villain. Everyone will hate her. Ruth cries that she doesn't want everyone to hate her. Sam says that desperation makes her unbearable. He says to take that in, he doesn't like her, and try not caring, and to relax because the devil gets all the best lines. He drives off. She nearly gets run off by Melrose, who tells her to watch it, homewrecker. Ruth yells for her shoes, and Melrose drives off. And that was it. That was episode 2. That was a fun episode, but I got dark with the miscarriage angle in there. Yeah. Fun episode. I love that no matter how much of an asshole Melrose acted throughout the episode, she owns it. She owns that she's an asshole, but she still calls Ruth a homewrecker. It's like, hey, I'm an asshole, but you're still a fucking homewrecker. Peace out, bitch. I'm keeping your shoes. That's going to do it for this episode. Join us next time for a rewatch and recap of episode 3 of Glow on Netflix series. As always, follow us on our socials. Support us from Under the Apron on Instagram, Spotify, the Threads, YouTube, apron_stories on the Twitter. More info on the links where you can listen or watch in the show notes. Listen to us on Apple, Spotify, or any other media you can listen to podcasts on. And because y'all been asking for it, we have merch.
We've got some merch. Go buy our merch. We've got some merch. Go buy our merch.
It is live and on TeePublic. I have 2 options available, and we got the new podcast logo from Under the Apron with the ring light shining in the middle of the ring, and the other option is your choice of shirt. Get our Father's Behavior t-shirts, all in the name of fun. somebody called me a name and I decided to capitalize on it and own it. He might be upset that I'm getting a laugh out of this, but hey, don't be a dick and think things like this won't happen. Fatherless behavior, wear them and display them just in time for the holidays with your family get together and show them how you really feel or how you act. And if they say they like your shirt, buy them a gift for Christmas. They'll love it. Trust me. There will be a third fatherless behavior as we are coming up on the third season of the show. Fatherless behavior in the front, from under the apron logo in the back. Those will be out in mid-December just in time for New Year. Also, I'm doing it just because. Might as well. Me and my friend love this. I'm doing Old Hag. We call each other Old Hags. You want to call somebody an Old Hag? Give him a shirt. I'll have it, and it's in time for December. Old Hag t-shirts from Under the Apron podcast. Don't forget to rate us and leave us a review. And if you feel you want to do a little bit more, go to patreon.com/From Under the Apron podcast. Support us on the Patreon. Become a top tier patron and get privileges. And I'll shout you out at the end of every episode. Just kinda always like Babel B, Menace Smiling, Damien H. Also, check out Chanel from the Narrative in Texas podcast, Clouds in November from the Nose of Sentence podcast, Wheezy Soup from the Life of a 30-Year-Old podcast, I Beloved Sigh from the Sweet Life pod. I'll have the links to these podcasts in the show notes so you can check them out. You'll love them. Check out darkfatecreations.com for all your scented candle needs. You're going to love them. Check them out, darkfatecreations.com. I'll have the link in the show notes. Mini Mommy Life, Blackheart Beauty, OMG is Ren, Hannah Time, Messenger of Stupidity, Rabbit, Collector of All Things Sentimental, Celestial Moon Goddess, Toasted Bagel, Lisa's Journey, The Sparkly Experiment, Lily Linguini, Age of Shadow 666, The Mafia, Ivan Campbell Music. You should check out his music. Ivan Campbell on Spotify. You'll love it. Marijuana Barbie, Sad Riot Boy, Queen of the Underworld, Miha. Wild Stark, Roman J, Mariah J's, Little Miss Confidence, Greenery, Lost Shadow 88, Plummy Chummy, Intrepid Renegade, Knack 182, Pixel Has Cake, Dahlia, Pulse Firemark, Looking Lindsay 87, Hey, it's me, your favorite chick, Jaded Samia, Kit Kat, RBL, Narcissus, Just Another Dude, Legion Biscuits, Tiger Princess, Claudia, Ramos Design, Princess and the Weed. Thank you guys for supporting the podcast. Patreon.com/From Under the Apron podcast. Get your name shouted out. Support the podcast. Check out the show notes for links to other podcast materials that you heard of this episode. Send us a message with your favorite wrestling stories, questions, comments, ratings, or requests at our email. It is FromUnderTheApron@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, joining the live, staying the gift, and being a huge part of this community. Tell your friend. Join us next time for more stories, TV show review, as well as wrestling-related stories when we come to you from Under the Apron. Yahoo! Yahoo!